Let's unbox the Funko Pop vinyl figure of the Mandalorian Judge from the Mandalorian series.
Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it.
Hello there, thanks for visiting Varykino. A week or so ago, I was browsing a local New Zealand online retailer, checking out their Star Wars stock, and checked out their clearance section where they had some fantastic Star Wars Funko Pop vinyl figures on sale. For reference, here in New Zealand, a standard Funko figure is $27, but this guy right here, the Mandalorian Judge from the Mandalorian series, was on sale for just $5. So, of course, I had to grab him because I didn't already have him in my collection. Now, as you can see, he has a bright orange helmet, but inside the box, it's quite dark. I think this one's going to look much better open. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Coming up really soon, I'll take a closer look at the Mandalorian Judge out of the box so we can see all of the details. But first, let's take a quick look at the packaging. This Mandalorian Judge figure comes packaged in the iconic Funko Pop vinyl standard figure packaging. It is predominantly white with the accent color of orange for the Mandalorian series. Used for the banner and sidebar here, we have the Star Wars logo in black. We also have a black circle for the number 667. That orange color used for the stripe behind the character name, Mandalorian Judge, and we have a nice preview image there, mostly of the helmet. Now, as you can see, we have the figure in the front window, but when I turn it to the side, you can see that the internal packaging is a clamshell design, so we have two layers of plastic holding the figure in place. So when we look through that front window, we're actually looking through two layers of plastic, so it's really hiding a lot of the detail there. I think he's going to look really cool out of the box. On this side with the window, we have the name Mandalorian Judge in large black text there, also that same number 667, and a little preview there of the helmet peeking out at the bottom. Moving on to the back, again another preview, a little bit cut off there by the left, where we get a little bit of a longer view there of the costume and some of the other figures from this particular assortment. Of course, we have the Mandalorian and Grogu, as well as some other fan favorites like Palimoto, the Armorer, and Paz Vizsla. We also have the Mandalorian series logo there at the bottom, and just the classic Star Wars logo in black here at the top. Now the final panel, my favorite one, we finally have the full view of the Funko vinyl figure here, where we can see his arm and antenna here for his helmet. Some really nice details there. We've also got the Pop logo here at the top, the character name underneath, and the number. The top flap has the preview there of the helmet. I really like the orange and blue colors. I think this character is going to look really cool out of the box, so let's open it up. As always, I'm going to open up the box from the underside, just carefully pulling on that flap. We can see the clear tray inside. Taking a quick look at the insert card packaged in behind the figure. It is a fantastic orange card with the Mythosaur skull logo there in a dark red. That's really nice, and I like that orange matches so well to the Mandalorian Judge. So let's go ahead and open up these trays. This is always the noisy part. Here we go, and now we can finally get him out. So wow, something that wasn't really clear through the plastic was just the level of weathering on his helmet. There is a lot of brushwork on this. I thought it might just be, a little bit bright, perhaps a little bit cartoony, having such a strong color contrast with his helmet here, but it's actually really weathered. That's quite interesting. So let's clear away the packaging so we can take a closer look at all of the costume details. As I hoped and suspected, he looks really cool out of the packaging. The shadowing of the box really hid a lot of cool details. So let's go over it. So of course I mentioned that I bought this one on clearance online, so I was willing to overlook a few paint inconsistencies, but I'm really happy to see that everything looks really tidy. Of course, I do prefer to buy Funkos in person so I can check out the paint, but something I'm particular about, especially on Mandalorians, is the visor paint. Just this really stark black. If it's not lined up to the sculpting details, it really stands out. But taking a closer look at this, that's a really nice straight paint line. I really like that. That's really nice to see. And of course, we've got this really strong orange and teal paint scheme for this helmet, which is really fun. Something that I really loved about the fan costuming community was coming up with some really cool, unique, custom Mandalorian costumes over the years. Something we never really got to see on screen until the Mandalorian series. And I really love seeing all of those covert episodes where we got to see just the broad array of custom and unique outfits and helmets. So it's really fun to see that being replicated in collectible format. So if you happen to have a custom Mandalorian outfit that has these strong colors, it's almost like having an action figure of yourself, which is kind of fun. And especially if you want to line them all up on a shelf, you get some really cool colors. Of course, we've had some strong greens with Boba Fett and blue with the likes of Bo-Katan and Jango Fett, but it's so fun to see all of these other vibrant colors coming through there. So I love this orange. It's so strong, but somehow just feels really fitting for this helmet. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the weathering on this is just unique. You can kind of see on the box that there was like a little bit of shading, but it is a very different style. It kind of looked like airbrushing in some of the corners on the box art, but this is most definitely a wash. We've got it in the cheek recesses here on both sides, and then it kind of goes from the front and sweeps over the top. It is a little bit patchy in the back. We've got a little bit of a clean patch here, and it kind of trails out here on the back. Of course, washes are quite organic, the way that the liquid is going to sort of streak over with the brushes and stuff like that. I just wanted to see how well it looked in the front. We've got a little bit of a clean patch here, but to be honest, if something's grubby, it's not going to be uniformly sort of grimy and dirty. You're going to have spots where it's kind of, you know, been buffed, knocked, so it kind of works. It's not like a thumbprint. Those are the ones that you really want to avoid, but nice straight lines for the color work here, and I really like that wash. Just kind of just dulls down the orange a little bit, so it's not too like a bright cartoon orange, and it kind of ties in well with some of the more earthy tones on the rest of the costume, which is really fun. Looking at the side, of course, we've got the sort of the ear details here. We've got this bright silver metallic finish there with some paint details. And we've got a really nice metallic bronze detail down the side here. And on the other side, again, metallic bronze and lovely silver, really bright and shiny. And we also have that silver for the rangefinder up here. Tipping it over, there isn't any paint details on the underside. Not that we're ever really going to see that, but there isn't like a little viewfinder or anything like that kind of painted on the underside. It is just straight silver all over. Really nice glossy finish there, really thick silver, which is really nice. Moving down, there is more metallic accents on the actual armor itself. So of course, we've got some really fun colors. We've got green for the right gauntlet, orange for the back of the hand here. We've got a metallic copper chest plate with a silver iron heart detail in the center there, silver belt buckle, and orange right thigh plate, a metallic dark gunmetal silver left thigh plate. We've got those sort of padded sections there with cream. We've got a sort of a creamy yellow knee plate. This side doesn't have a knee plate. That's kind of interesting. And then on at the back, we've got an orange jetpack here with black. That looks like bronze sort of metallic colors for the top there, for sort of the rockets, and silver details and black. That is so much paintwork there. It's interesting that there is both glossy and matte black finishes here for the details there as well, and you can see some of the other costume details. We've even got those little sort of knee sort of weaponry there painted in silver there as well. And if you look at his belt, he's got a tiny little blaster in there as well. That one looks like it is painted in a gloss black with a dark brown holster there and some pouches. And of course, we've also got this sort of interesting dark green sort of shoulder cape over the left shoulder of the character here. A lot of detail, and it all looks painted well. It's kind of a little bit awkward when I'm kind of looking at it for a long time, that the left arm isn't sculpted in here in any way. It kind of, this cape is hanging down very straight, but his hand doesn't look like it's kind of resting on a belt. We don't kind of have it sticking out here, so it's kind of a little bit hidden there. But I like the sort of the fist that he's got in his right hand. I do like that pose there. Nice painting on the boots. We don't have any painted detail there on the boots. And he is attached permanently, of course, to the iconic circular black base used for the Star Wars range of Funko Pop vinyls. Not all Funko figures come with a base, but the Star Wars ones are now permanently attached. We don't have any glue spillage, which is always nice. And of course, we have that 3-tiered edge there, and the sort of plaque rectangle rectangular section here on the front with the Star Wars logo in that fantastic shiny metallic silver print. Just a tiny little paint wobble at the top of the ST section there. It kind of just dips down a tiny bit, but other than that, it is straight and not scratched, so it looks good. It's really catching the light. That's fun. And of course, we have the copyright information there on the underside. And here's a very good bobble. Of course, these Star Wars figures are not all Funko vinyl figures are bobble heads, but the Star Wars ones are, and some of them are a little bit rigid. This one has some very good bobbling going on. He's very fun, and I just love that kind of that oversized style there. This is a really fun character. Of course, this character doesn't have a name. It is listed here and on other merchandise simply as Mandalorian Judge. He is the one sort of judging the duel between the young Mandalorians and foundlings. Kind of interesting to see just how young the Mandalorians introduce aiming and weaponry to their family members. But I thought that was a really sort of interesting look into Mandalorian culture and the covert sort of training up their young members. I really enjoyed that scene, even if it did remind me a little bit of a paintball tournament match. This is such a fun character. I love the details on it, and everything looks well lined up, well painted. You can see that we've even got like a weathering on that thigh armor patch to match up with the weathering on the orange helmet there as well. I love the metallic touches. It's all quite nice there. Yeah, it's a shame that he was on clearance because I think he's just such a really neat design character, really vibrant, really stood out, and he is made in other collectible lines. He's not an obscure background character, even though he doesn't have a specific Mandalorian name other than Judge, but I think he's a really fun and colorful addition to my lineup from the Mandalorian series. That was a fun scene, and I really like his costume design. Really fun. So this was really fun to see out of the box, you know, just those few little sort of clean patches on some of the weathering there, but other than that, he just looks great. It's always a little bit of a gamble. You're never quite sure sometimes if online retailers are, you know, putting things on deep clearance because they can see that there is damage or something about it that's not quite right. You know, the one left at the bottom of the box because it's not the best in terms of quality, but I was really happy to see when this one arrived in the mail, the box is fine and the figure looks great. So I'm really happy to finally add this one to my collection. I can't always afford to buy every single Funko Pop vinyl figure at full price when they come out. Sometimes I unfortunately have to wait. So it's always exciting when I'm able to add one for such a cheap price to my collection. Certainly makes it easy to budget for other ones. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I opened up another Star Wars collectible and just had a lot of fun. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again very soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a Funko fan, I recently unboxed the Mandalorian in N1 Starfighter with R5D4. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as a whole Funko unboxing playlist. This is the way.